Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2, technically, of Just Hangouts, a podcast where we just sit and we talk and we hang out. All right, so I am Blake, and today I'm joined by my good friend Jonathan.
Hello.
He said hello. And so I think we're just going to start off by just going in, smooth, just talking about what we've been doing for the week. So, movies, games, anime, what you been up to?
What have I been up to? Am I going in a long list?
Yeah, just hit me with whatever.
Okay. Let's see. Just pulling it up real quick. Well, for games, I've really only been playing Smash because we're both addicted.
Yes.
But Final Fantasy VII, I am now 10 hours into it, so I think that means I'm like, at the longest, like a fourth into the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I like it a lot. It's, combat's still fun. Turn based, always good. However, the thing I don't like is all the mini-game stuff. Whenever anything that's not fighting, I don't like.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I don't know if it's just because, like, the controls are dated or it's just me. But whenever they're like, do this, like a little mini-game, I'm like, oh, I don't like it
That's so interesting.
every time.
That's so interesting because, like, from where I am, the minigame stuff has been, like, some of the fun stuff. Like, I love the motorcycle chase.
No, that was fun.
That was fun. That was fun. Cool. I like there's a little stealth part, like a little one. But I know that the other stuff after that, it starts getting kind of hectic because, like, there's, like, a casino and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, they add certain things. And whenever it's not the fighting, I'm like, I'm terrible or, like, it's probably me. But, it's a fun game, though. I like it a lot. The characters are cool. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
We'll get in there. For shows, I watched, did I mention Dragon Prince season? I mentioned season 1 last week. I watched all season 2. Ooh. Season 2 was a big improvement on season 1. Okay. Season 1 was good, but season 2 is like really good. Okay. Like the characters and the story, again, those Avatar vibes. Like Avatar, as it goes on, it gets better. Mm-hmm. And not spoiling, but like a new character who gets added. Not as annoying as I thought they would be, which is awesome. I thought I'm gonna hate this.
That's really good. I hate annoying characters. I hate when they add characters that don't need to be there.
Yeah, but it's cool. The animation, especially, like season 1, you could tell it was really choppy, but at some point I just stopped trying to see it because I really enjoyed the story. But in season 2, like it looks way less choppy. Like a lot of times I can't even notice. Like the look at the show is still the same. Like if you don't like the style of it, you're not gonna like it. Yeah. But just the animation just looks way more fluid. Like the first episode starts with a little fight scene, and I think it's probably the best looking one that they had done until that part. And yeah, season 2 is really good. Can't wait till season 3. Would recommend, Blake.
Oh, okay, good. Because the animation was a big sticking point for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't like when the 3D... Because Netflix seems to be like the what is it? The freaking vanguard for this. Where it's like that 3D, 2D mix.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It doesn't... I don't know. The animes they have, animes, quote unquote. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like they have them, and they're like all like Godzilla. I watched a little bit of that, and I'm just like, this just looks weird.
Because the problem with those is, like, I think they've talked, like the animators have talked about that. They keep trying to they try to work on it like it's a 2D show, but it's 3D. Yeah. They don't work on it like, oh, we're doing 3D animation. They try to do it the same, and it just doesn't look right. Yeah. I think that's what they do is, I don't know, in terms of animation staff, if it's the same people who worked on Avatar or not. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they got more accustomed to doing 3D. Okay. And so that's why it looks a lot better, season 2.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, because like they want to make it look 2D. It's like they want to have their cake but eat it too, and I just don't think you can with this kind of stuff.
I agree, but it's good though. Would recommend. I think you would like it.
Cool. Well, it's on my list. I definitely want to check that out. What else? Anything else you got?
I've started going through Voltron. Me and Blake have talked about this show. Yes. Oh, no. Do you want to give them your quick thoughts on Voltron for Netflix?
I would. It's hard. It's hard to put it into like solid enough words to make sense of things. I fell in love with Voltron for season 1 because it was scratching that itch of like really kind of solid like animated series that's not too goofy, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's that nice perfect blend, like the Avatar Last Airbender thing. and it stayed that way until season 3. And then they started getting... It kept the tone throughout, but I don't know. I want to recommend it.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Interesting.
See, that's the thing. It's like I'd recommend it up to a point.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's a point where the show stops trying.
Okay.
And it's like it just stops trying to make sense of things, and I think that's where.
You and me have talked about.
Yes.
It seems like you really did not. Obviously, you liked the beginning, but as it went on, you really disliked this show.
I didn't start hating it. I still don't hate it. I just think it's so disappointing.
Okay.
And like disappointment is just like, oh.
Okay.
That sucks because they just kind of. I would recommend watching the movie, which is like the first episode. Really, it's really just the first episode. It's just longer. And then maybe season 2 and 3. But I would say call it quits after season 2 because 3 is when they start introducing stuff. And then after that point, you kind of can't go.
Okay. So season 1, I wasn't a huge fan. Just like, I don't know, I was kind of bored for a lot of it.
Yeah. Because a lot of it's them having to learn how to become in those roles.
Yeah.
Like that's, for one season when you're trying to get to like a certain point in the story.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, we want to see them do this cool stuff. And they're not doing it yet.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was it. Because I really kept trying, but every time I'm like, okay, let's watch the new episode or next episode. Like,
yeah,
I'm not interested. I'm not engaged.
Yeah.
But after what Blake told me, I thought, well, I probably won't watch. But it's a good show to put on while I'm doing like editing stuff. Yeah. And so I put it on like that. Season 2 I like a lot more because the big problem I have with season 1 was. I didn't feel it was as character focused as it should have been. Hunk got really some of the only focus. I know Shiro had, but that was more of the mystery behind what happened.
Yes.
But Hunk got the most development, and so I think you said it perfectly. You're doing the development kind of backwards. Yeah. Where season 2, they're like, oh well, we didn't do it that well, so let's kind of add it there. Mm-hmm. And so I like that growing stronger with the Lions and their bond, and that's the whole point of Voltron. And I never got that connection in season 1. And so they're finally doing it now in season 2. Some characters don't really get that. Like Hunk, like it's kind of backwards because he got his development in season 1. But you never got that connection with the lion. Yeah. So they're trying to add it last minute. Mm-hmm. Keith, kinda. Like he's always had a connection with his lion. So kinda. Yeah. Lance, not really. Like I like Lance, but they don't give him much to do in this show.
He changes the most towards the end, but because of what happens towards the end, I don't know if it's worth it because he kind of becomes a completely different person, and it's really
because like because with Lance they never explain why he has this lion in particular, and in season 2 when everybody is growing closer to it, there's like one throwaway line where he says, "Oh, it's working much better in the underwater." Yeah, that line happened. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's it. We didn't get
blue and water.
Yeah, like we didn't get an episode where it's him connecting to it more. Like, okay, whatever. But season 2's actually I enjoyed it a lot. We'll see for the next seasons.
Yeah. Well, the reason that happens is because again they try to what is it? It's like they what they do later affects the lines that they have. I won't spoil it, but I'm sure you can guess from what I'm saying. But I'll leave it at that. Okay. It's a cautious recommendation. I feel like you should watch it up to a point and then stop. And then don't go forward. Unless you really want to know what happens because it's semi-interesting.
Okay.
But,
and the last thing, though. For movies, I watched Toy Story 4 this past weekend.
Don't tell me anything. I haven't seen it yet.
I won't say any spoilers. Can I just say what I think?
Yeah, go for it.
Fake thoughts?
You can say whatever you want.
Can I say fake thoughts?
Of course.
I enjoyed it. I liked it more than I thought because everybody thought, why are they making a 4th one? The 3rd one ended.
I have yet to meet someone who doesn't have that.
Perfectly, yeah. I did enjoy it a lot. I came out of it going, that was fun. That was a fun movie. But the problem I had, it's not like a kind of like the newest DreamWorks movie where there's no substance at all. There is substance to this movie and the characters, but it doesn't have the same weight as the last 3. It feels more like more of a fun a fun adventure movie, with the characters growing here and there. But with all the last 3, there's so much weight to everything. I feel like that was lost, at least some of it. It's not as impactful, I would say, as the other ones. And so I have some iffy things in terms of character, and we could talk about it once you see it. But I feel like some characters got really disservice in their portrayal and also the amount that they're in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I enjoyed the movie when I left, I thought, yeah, I don't know if that had to exist. I think if it couldn't change my mind about it existing, then yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think we need to make Pixar a topic for discussion down the line. Maybe when they announce what their next thing is after Onward, which I hope isn't more sequels, but I feel like I talk about it now, but mm-hmm. I have just way too much to say about what Pixar has kind of become as of late.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I am gonna see it just because
it's good.
Like
it's still good.
I have to,
It's still good.
Yeah, I'm sure Pixar's never really made a terrible movie.
Mm-hmm.
They've made rough movies. Yeah. I don't think they've ever made like a movie that's like, oh god, that's so bad.
It's better than Incredibles 2, I think.
Okay.
I watched also Ralph Breaks the Internet last week.
Yes.
It's better than that. Have you seen that?
No, but I've heard very poor things. I've heard my friend Colton basically summarized this. I said, "Oh, it's on Netflix." She's like, "Oh, don't watch it." I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
It's like, it's just.
I needed something to watch while I was doing stuff. It's not as bad as I thought. As the trailers were terrible for that movie. Yeah. I think it's still a good movie. I like the things they attempted to do in terms of talking about in terms of the character of Ralph, talking about friendship and how relationships develop.
I know what you're talking about.
I think that was interesting.
Yeah.
Where the first movie was like a 10 out of 10. I would say the second one is like a 7.
Ooh, okay.
It still looks gorgeous and everything, but it's not bad. It's just not the first one.
It's solid, but not
exactly. Yeah. But I think Toy Story 4 is better than those two movies.
Okay, so that's good. That's
really
good.
Yeah.
But it's not as good, not as weighty as the.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same weight.
Impact.
Exactly.
I get exactly what you're saying. That makes sense, though. I completely can understand why, and I think I've heard that as a general consensus. Like, it's good. It's Pixar, but it's it's Toy Story 4. It's something that people just didn't really feel they wanted, and so when they go in, they're like, oh, it's Toy Story 4.
Yeah, but that's it for me for what I've been doing. What about you?
Well, let's see. So for my video games, I have been trying my hardest to finish Alpha. I talked about it in the last podcast. It's a short, very, very short, very cheap little action game. But I'm stuck on the final boss. And it is kicking my butt. It is the hardest thing ever. I literally have no idea how to beat this thing because it's so hard. But yeah, so that's what I'm on my Switch. I'm still chipping away on Klonoa, Vision by Vision. It's a fun little cute platformer on the PS1. I decided to buy it on a whim, and I'm really liking it. It's super charming. It's got that same charm as Kirby. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Klonoa is?
No.
If you saw a picture of him, I
I'm sure I would.
He's like a little black and white fox thing, and he has a blue hat.
Okay.
And he's red short. If you saw a picture of him, I'm pretty sure you know.
It does sound familiar, but yeah, I'm sure.
And so it has the same charm as Kirby, but it's kind of difficult because it's just a different platformer. But I'm really falling in love with that.
Okay.
As for shows, I'm gonna start on season 2 of Agretzko because I loved season 1. Do you know what that is?
I do. Everybody I hear talk about it says it's amazing.
It's really good. It's funny and it's cute, and I don't know why I got hooked on it. I don't even know how I found it.
I was say you're not a huge anime guy.
No, I'm not. But I don't know why. But I think it was the fact that it was this cute little fox thing, and then it was and she sings heavy metal, and I was like, that is just too bizarre.
Yeah, I want to watch. I just haven't yet.
Yeah, it's really I really like it. It's super character focused, and you're super into everyone's personality because everybody has a unique personality and perspective, and I think that's what I like. I just had a really fun time with the first one. I've watched it subbed and dubbed because I just wanted to know.
All right,
and it's great. So I'm excited for season 2. As for movies, I finally, after so long, got to see John Wick 3 with my dad, and I had a super fun time. They definitely are making Chapter 4.
Assuming you've seen the last 2.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how they stack up to each other. It's hard because like they're all
like fun action movies.
They're all very fun. They're all super cool, but they're so different from one another to some degree. Where it's like John Wick 1 is kind of a very focused and direct movie about like a revenge story, very simple. John Wick 2 is more about like kind of building that world, and then John Wick 3 is like, okay, here's the world itself, and like now let's remove that world kind of thing. But what was more interesting than the movie itself was the person sitting behind me during the movie. So I don't know if you've ever been to like the movie theater and you just encountered someone who's like, this person is just so terrible that they just don't belong in a movie theater.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I had someone who was just super duper like had the loudest laugh in the theater. Which look, I have nothing against people who laugh loud. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But when it's an action movie where people are getting like freaking shot in the face, and it's like she finds that hilarious, like. It's like, I don't know, and she like made her, you know hecklers at comedy places?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where she would make comments about, and like they were loud, like she didn't have an inside voice.
Okay.
So she would make these comments about like, there's this part where someone's about to get stabbed in the eye or something like that. And she's like, oh no, look, oh no, oh my god, and like it's just, it was so funny. I was dying through the whole movie because I was like, it's so funny to me that people exist that they literally don't know. Like they're not self-aware enough to the point where they're like, oh, I shouldn't go in there because I'll disturb everybody else.
People like that need to be stopped. Because I feel like I'm always sitting next to that person. I have some of the worst luck in movie theaters. Like Toy Story 4, a lot of kids, right? I thought, like dang it. I was hoping it was early enough.
Yeah.
All the kids did not do anything.
No, I know.
However, the one kid that did literally sat right next to me.
Oh.
I saw some of the seats filled, and I purposely picked my seat just like a row or two away from those people. And then the one kid that he was like 3, maybe 4. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
However, he was like standing the entire time. He would yell every so often because he's a kid.
Yeah.
He really wasn't even focusing on the movie. He's 3. He was moving around, making noise, and I thought, I just have the worst luck sitting next to this kid.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just like, oh my, like I couldn't hear what some characters were saying sometimes, and I can't move because that's just rude. In my head, I'm like, I can't, because if you move, they know it's their fault. I don't want to just put that blame on them, going, because of you, I'm moving. So I just stayed, because that's the grave I dug for myself.
I get you.
But movie theaters, man, it's tough.
I know. It's like such a big trade-off. It's like the perfect way to watch a movie.
Yes.
It's like you got the best sound, you got the best picture, you got like the perfect environment, like all the you just like you focus on the movie and the movie alone almost. But then there's people around you, and like it's always a 50-50 because there's always. I was about to say,
I think it's like at this point 70-30. That might be overstating it. It's probably like 60-40, but it's like. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's theater by theater basis, because I went to this one theater, Cinema City in Anaheim. And every time I go to that theater, there's always someone or something that has to ruin the experience. I went to go see Spider-Verse for the second time with my brother there, and we had 2 things. So there was a person down the row who I think had like a mental illness, so not a big deal. But like he kept talking to himself during the movie because like no one else was with him, so he kept talking to himself, which like wasn't that big a deal. But what did bother me was the 2 like, I swear to God, freshman high school girls behind me who were literally having a conversation during the movie, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't get that either.
I don't,
because you pay like $10 to go to this movie.
Yes, and I don't understand like why go to Subway, go to Chipotle, go to a restaurant, or go anywhere else. Why are you here in the movie theater having a discussion about what Jason texted
oh
Deborah?
Oh my God, no.
No, but like that's the thing, and my brother is a much more forward person than I am. So like towards the end, when things were like you needed to hear. Yeah. He gets up and turns around. You guys are being really loud. You guys need to be quiet. And I was like, oh my God.
What happened then? Did they
they stopped. They shut the heck up for the rest of the movie. So I was like, dang. Maybe I need to start doing that a little more.
Like, I can't do it. But there's just I wish.
I don't know. There's just a point where it's like, come on, go home. Like, go watch this movie at home. Like, you just don't belong in a theater at this point. Like, if you don't know how to interact with other people, or to like, it's like going to a library. Like, you don't go into a library and like, oh, I'm just gonna scream and shout all day. Like, nobody does that.
Yeah, there's a long time when people said I always get these bad people when I go to the theater.
Yeah.
And I thought most of the time it doesn't happen. It's almost all the time now.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
I feel like it's probably getting worse as more movies. But like, it's funny because like theaters are like also the best places because like when you go to a movie that has a lot of hype around it, like Avengers or Star Wars, or what used to be Star Wars, in my opinion. Like there's like the crowd is great. Like every single time, spoilers for Endgame, but if you haven't seen Endgame, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like every time Captain America gets Mjolnir, like every single time, no matter how many people or how few people are in that theater, there's always like, oh shoot! Like there's always like a bunch of people being like, oh my god! Like so, like that's cool, and I always love seeing that. And like, oh, it's funny. My brother was with me too. This is another just a little side bit. As he saw the hammer rising, he starts elbowing me. He's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm like, ow! I thought it was funny because I already seen it at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a huge trade-off where it's like you want that hype experience of like going to see the movie in a perfect way with an audience that's like reacting to things in a cool way. But like it sucks because like there's just so many people who are the exact opposite and just like kill the hype and just ruin it. So
yeah, it's tough.
It is very tough. But anyway, so that's what I'm up to for this week. But now I believe it's time for us to take a little trip down memory lane.
All right.
All right. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna refresh ourselves on the topics we talked about last week or whatever the last podcast was. So last time we talked about the Evangelion dub on Netflix, and we basically kind of summarized the issue as like Netflix just got the rights to Evangelion, and it's on Netflix now. But they have kind of retranslated it with a new English voice cast.
Well, it was Studio Kara who did the new translations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and they did the new translations and they did new subtitles as well as new what am I thinking? English voice acting.
Yes.
Yes. So
new translations plus new voices.
Yeah. So in the original podcast, I was not super familiar with the issue itself. I don't generally consider myself an anime guy. I watch it every now and then if it's a really good one. But I decided to take a look and to see like what some of the changes were, and specifically the scene in question, which was a male character. What was his name? Do you remember? The male character who says that.
See, I was like, I didn't say it during the last podcast because it's so hard to say.
Yeah.
No, not for spoilers, just because it's Karu, but I have trouble saying it sometimes.
Okay, so
Karu.
Where Karu is a character who I think has romantic interest, is implied to have romantic interest in the main character. He literally says "I love you" in the original, and Netflix changed it to where they said, "What is it? I am worthy of your grace.
You're worthy of my grace." He says, "I like you, and you're worthy of my grace,"
which is the absolute weirdest change. And looking at it in more context, which I went back to, I think that's a huge change that really upsets the entire flow of really the narrative to kind of an absurd degree in my view, at least. I think that's almost, not even almost, I would say that's pretty unnecessary to do, especially when it comes to something so blatant and clear and clean cut. But that's kind of where I am. So I don't know if I remember being a little bit more like, oh, I'm not sure, but like this is like, okay, yeah, that's a big no-no. Like, so, but did you have anything to add to the Evangelion discussion?
Well, I looked at, things more into the situation, and what it seems like, it was just like this story kind of popping up, and there's like two versions of it. They're pretty similar, but like, I'll get into it. So the first version, people are saying that I think they showed it either at Anime Expo or Comic-Con, the Evangelion 3.0, the dub. I think they premiered at Comic-Con the sub, and then I think later the dub. I can't remember exactly. But according to one person, for the sub, translation that I think it was Funimation. Funimation did. Apparently it was a really bad translation, and the translation they did, because Kaoru shows up in that movie, and the relationship they did between Shinji and Kaoru apparently was really goofy. Like the way they translated it, the audience couldn't take it seriously. Apparently they were laughing a lot because they just couldn't take it seriously. And I guess according to that person, a representative of Studio Khara was there, and their reaction to it, like, they shouldn't be laughing during these scenes. Like, this is not what we intended to happen. And so apparently from that reaction to the movie dub or the subtitles, they thought, okay, well, this was a disaster. We have to take it on ourselves now to translate it ourselves, so we don't have something like this happen, where it unintentionally gives out the wrong vibe and the wrong reaction. So if we do it ourselves, people will get the reaction we intend. The other story is apparently that it wasn't as dramatic as that, where the subtitles weren't. It wasn't the subtitles and the translations that were bad. It was the fact that the dub was taken less seriously. But apparently, according to the second person, was less on, because they said they were there. It was less on the actual script and the translation, but more on the performances of the actors. Because I don't know what happened. Apparently, it was just really bad, and that's what people kept laughing at. Some of the performances, like, because some of the characters change in that third movie, and I guess those changes weren't acted very well. And because I don't know if you remember, but when 3.0 was coming out on the Blu-ray, it took like 2 or 3 extra years to come out. You kept hearing me all the time.
Yeah, because I remember you saying like, "Oh, 3.0 is coming out," and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." And I remember like years later, I was like, "So whatever happened with that?" Like,
I was like, "It's still not out." Like, because I watched all the movies, the show, and everything. I thought, okay, well, now I should just wait for a dub because it just got premiered and it's gonna come out soon. But like, the fandom kept trying to find out what was happening. Like, Funimation gave us like little bits. The things we heard was like they were redubbing the whole movie, and second, that Studio Khara was like adding stuff. People thought maybe they meant like special features and all that. But also people were wondering if it just meant that Studio Khara was supervising like the script translation and putting more of their hand into that, and that's why it was taking so long. And that would make sense because they have to run everything by the studio, and they're in Japan, so they had to do agreements with every single line and with the script and the performances. That could explain why it took so long.
That makes a lot of sense.
And so the narrative is either like it was the sub translations that Funimation messed up, or like I believe the second person more. It was just like the dub and the reaction to that. But either way, it was a bad reaction to that particular movie. So I can see why Studio Khara would go, let's put more of our hand into the translation.
And they did and you said they did the one for Netflix.
Yeah.
Well. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that, but I think there's still kind of a measure of, like, even if it comes off as funny, I think at least what needs to be preserved above all, at least in my opinion, what needs to be preserved above all when things come from east to west, or from east to west, I think that, like, at least the same kind of meaning. And like, I know it's difficult because it's like there is that language barrier, and it's like things that I feel are offensive here are not offensive there, or things that are offensive there are not offensive here, or vice versa, things that just hold different meanings. So it's kind of a slippery slope, but I feel as though there are better, like, being worthy of someone's graces. That sounds funnier to me. Like, I don't know, like that's funnier to me.
Yeah, well, again, we talked about this last week, but it comes down to like what's said in Japanese and the different ways you can say love. There's a lot of different ways. One just means like I care about you a lot, or one means like I love you. It's hard to translate that to English because according to everybody, it's a more literal like straight up literal translation of what was in the Japanese script, and that's why different things sound weird. Like in the original dub, they called people like the first child, second child. Now they're called in the dub. They literally say you're the first children, you're the second children, and this is for like one individual person.
Yeah,
and that's because how it's translated in Japanese.
Yeah,
and
it's
it comes to what's like meaning, from different languages.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like but in Japan, like there's like two different meanings of like the word love.
Yeah.
But like here, the word love can correspond to like anything. Like
it's weird.
Like it can be like an intimate love. It can be a very like very friendly love. It's very interesting, and it's like, but that one word corresponds to everything. Whereas the Japanese have a different word for different kind of connotations of that, like levels. Almost.
Kind of a similar scene that happens.
Yeah.
Like I found that someone put up. It's a scene where it's Shinji. He starts to choose whether to end the world or keep it the same, and he's talking to Asuka, like one of the main characters he's grown accustomed to, grown close to.
Yeah.
And in this scene, he's pretty much like at the end of his rope. He's trying to find anyone to make him feel better or take care of him.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the scene that Asuka even mentions is that it's not me you're talking to, it's literally anyone. Like, or it doesn't have to be me. You could be asking this to anyone. And Shinji is a very kind of broken character. He isn't able to go with his emotion or deal with his emotions, like in a healthy way. And so with the original translation, it was, I want to help you, Asuka. I want to stay with you. You're the only one that can help me. But in the Netflix one, he literally says, I want to do anything I can for you. I want us to be together forever. Please, you're the only one for me. And so that was the other thing people were wondering about, because it's more direct in that version, in the Netflix version. But with the dub, it was more ambiguous, but it makes more sense for the character to be ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because he
doesn't know
whether he's into her or not in that moment. He just wants help from somebody. Yeah. It's not him professing his love for her. He's like, can you help me? Can you just help me not fall apart right now? Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's so strange how you have one example of them doing the opposite. Yeah. Where it's like a character's pretty straightforward feelings become more ambiguous. Yeah. And then this one you have a character's ambiguous feelings, something that's kind of not necessarily a kind of request to be intimate. It's more of like a very
so people are bringing up what the translator said, we mentioned last time about letting people choose for themselves what they take from that line or scene, and then people were saying, well, that's just an example of them not wanting to make Shinji gay. That's a whole different conversation. But it's conflicting ideas in this dub.
So that's super weird. And what that also brings me to is a follow-up question that I didn't ask in the original, but now that I know a little bit more, as a person who's never seen the show, I've never seen the show, do you recommend new viewers watch this version, despite it being more accessible, or would you say it's better to go back to the original, whether that be sub-dubbed or whatever?
Personally, just because that's how I started, I would say if you can find it, watch the original, but if there's no illegal way you can watch it, still watch the Netflix version because it's easily accessible. It's like the only legal way to watch it unless you buy it. Yeah. So I would say go with the legal option. But it's weird about which is the definitive version. I guess neither are. Yeah. Because Amanda Wynn Lee, she did the script translation back in the day, and she commented on Twitter saying, all you people were complaining for years to me about we took too many liberties with the script. It was the 90s. That's people always do with the scripts. Yeah. It's an old show too. And so let's talk about her making too many changes to the script. And now, I don't know if it's the same people or different people saying, well, now it's too literal. Now it's a too literal translation. It's tough to win in this situation.
Yeah, it's just, slippery slope.
It's just what people prefer. Yeah. But I would say still go with the Netflix version. I still prefer the original dub. Because kind of related, kind of not. I just like the dub. we saw
Yeah,
some
we
of
saw
the
clips
comparisons
yeah.
together, and from someone who didn't like guess grow up with it, I saw when I was like 15. I don't know if that counts, but what did you think about the new versus the old one, just from the clips you saw?
I think for me personally, when it comes to like watching more Eastern-oriented entertainment, I prefer the dub to be at least to some degree more expressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, I mean, there's example of bad ones. Like I've always heard that Akira the movie has a really terrible English dub when it first came over here.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I watched the comparison, like Netflix's version is very underplayed. It's not as, it's kind of mellow and just it still has its impact. It still has its weight, but like it doesn't have the same emotional carry, which I think is kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that people want the Dragon Ball Z actors so much is because they're just so freaking expressive. You know what I mean? And it's like it's awkward when they're not. So I don't know. For me, I think the original dub, from what I've seen, which isn't a whole lot, but from what I've seen, is still, I think, the more exciting option, I guess, overall.
Yeah, because personally, because I like to watch things dubbed if I can. Mm-hmm. And so the translation thing is, we've talked at length about it. It's a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah.
The dub, at the very least, I like the old version better. Just like the new one has its strengths. Like a lot of the side characters in the old one were really bad, just because they just didn't focus on them as much, which makes sense. But a lot of the side characters have voices you can take seriously, and they're better. But at least with like the main cast, like voices aside, and when you think of how they fit, the acting, I just don't think it carries itself.
Yeah.
Because and to make it fair, I looked at like the last episode of the show for both, and some of the movie. I wasn't able to finish it all. The dub isn't bad for the Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like you said, they're not as expressive. It doesn't carry as much impact overall. And what I feel about the Netflix dub is that there's a lot of dubs I watch that I think are serviceable. I don't think they're bad. I'll probably still watch it over the Japanese, but I'm like, it's serviceable. It works. It's fine. It's not amazing. And because I feel like as the actors went on with the old version, that they really grew into the roles and were really expressive. Yeah. And that's what people learned to love about it, like faults and all. But with this, I think the new one, I don't think it has that impact. And I think it's fine. I think it's just fine.
Okay, I think that's a good period on the end of this discussion. So it's fine. I think is a good way of kind of concluding.
This whole situation is
messy.
Many levels of messy.
Yeah, that's 100% true. But I think that we can both agree that it's fine.
Yeah,
that's it. So. But I think let's go on to our second updated topic. It's not a big one. I don't think this is going to take...
No.
We don't have much to say about this one. But Pokemon Sword and Shield. What we talked about last time is the controversy of the national dex being basically gone from the Generation 8 game, Sword and Shield. So basically, they're saying that your Pokemon from Generation 3 to 7 will not be able to be transferred via Pokemon Home to Sword and Shield unless they appear in the Galar Pokedex, which means that certain Pokemon will be unable to appear in the Generation 8 games, and a lot of people are very upset about this, understandably.
And in future games, they said probably not even in future games.
I don't know. I don't know if we covered that, but they did say, I think we did in the original podcast. We did say that, and I read that statement, which is freaking weird.
Yep.
But it was a weird. Okay.
It's so we don't even know.
So let me talk about that statement just a little bit, real quickly. So what they said was that they wanted to use that statement as damage control, but that did the exact opposite, because they said, I think it was Masuda. He said, let me be clear. Pokemon that don't appear in Generation 8 doesn't mean that they won't appear in future generations. And it was like, wait a minute.
But I think also what he said was, well, we don't even know in the future if we could put all the Pokemon in.
That's exactly what I heard. That's exactly what it is. It's like, he's like, well, they might appear later, but I mean, we don't know if we could put everyone. We're probably not going to be able to put everybody in. It's like, okay, guys, way to go. But so Masuda made kind of a final statement. This is kind of the period for I think this for like his point of view. So I'm going to read it because I think it's pretty interesting. So you can find this on the official Pokemon website, which I think is a pretty big deal because that's the official website for them to put a statement like this. So from Junichi Masuda. Thank you to all our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently, I shared the news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Sword and Shield. I've read all your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear: even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope you will look forward to joining us on this new journey. June 28th, 2019, Junichi Masuda. I don't think that statement helped at all.
No, made it worse.
Yeah, I think it really just solidified that it's just really.
So real quick, what I got from that personally was, it's not that we don't like your favorite Pokemon. They still won't be in it, though.
Yeah.
Maybe next time, we'll put in Cyndaquil. Oh, sorry. We're not putting in the Decidueye this time, though.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that.
I mean, Eevee could have made it in, but we had to put in Kyogre. Yeah. Sorry.
What are we going to do without Kyogre? My perspective has not really changed. And ultimately, I think this has just really affirmed that Generation 8 is going to be weaker than any generation prior, simply because it's going to feel so empty. I get that, we're going to have these cool raid battles, which are fine. That look, they look fun. We got Dynamaxing, which I'm still it looks cool, but I'm still what the heck? Giant Pokemon.
It's just like a Mega Evolution, though. Because
I mean.
My roommate pointed out, it only lasts 3 turns. What Pokemon fight lasts more than 3 or 4 turns?
Yeah, no, it's...
Most don't.
No, that's what I meant, exactly. And it's so, I mean, there's a lot of features that make this game look great, but for them, the pile of excuses that they're making as to why they can't just don't make sense, and again, is just really digging their own graves, I think, at this point. And it's really, really upsetting because they've given so many, like we discussed last time, they've given so many excuses we need to work on the graphics. I mean, how are we going to have, bad graphics in a Switch game? And then it's I've seen some footage and it's awful. I didn't because I didn't look at the treehouse footage because I didn't really.
No, you didn't? Okay.
Well, because for me it was I skimmed it.
Okay.
Skimmed it very little. Because for me, it's it's new Pokemon. I'm gonna be cool. But then I read this and I was like, oh shoot! So I went back and watched it. The trees look like trash. They look like N64 trees over there. The texturing looks terrible. Wingull has no animation for when he's flying. He's just got his arms stretched out wide and he's just gliding along, even when he's turning. I don't believe it. It's real rough. I mean, there's no that's what I mean though. It's you can't use that as an excuse because we know you guys are just using Gen 7 stuff. And Gen 7 was a 3DS game that happened to have every single Pokemon in the game. There's no again, this is the sad part, is that it's affirming that Pokemon is really beginning to turn into one of these yearly franchises, kind of almost to the same extent where it's Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, where it's it's the same thing.
I mean, it's kind of always been that. And I think a lot of fans have felt that. I think this is just the final nail for them.
Yeah.
Because they took out contests in Gen 7, right? They took out the Battle Frontier a little while ago. For a lot of people, they've been taking out stuff and not putting in as much effort as people wanted.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's on console and the fact that they took out the Pokemon, for a lot of people, is you know what? We have problems, but this is come on.
I agree. When you taking out the Battle Frontier in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, that's kind of dumb. I don't know why they did that. That was weird. And replacing it with a bunch of different things that people just didn't really care about. Again, the idea of adding and then removing a bunch of stuff. Mega Evolutions, you hype them up so much for 2 games, and then you take them away, and they're oh, no more.
Yeah.
And then you make Z moves, and then all Z moves are gone. Sorry. Hope you enjoyed. And it's like, those things I don't understand. But like when you mess with the Pokemon themselves, that's when I think I draw the line. Like you can take away these little things that are kind of supplementary to me. But like messing with the Pokemon and the amount of Pokemon and like what can and cannot be done with the Pokemon, that's what frustrates me the most.
I just don't like the vagueness of it too. What was the thing about the future games? Can you repeat that?
I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in the future games.
What does that mean? Future games?
It means that if Farfetch ain't in this one, Farfetch will replace someone else from Generation 8 in Generation 9.
I get that as well, but by future games, they can be anything.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Like appear. They also said appear.
Yeah.
Which again, I think maybe it's just the way he said it, but the vagueness is not good because it's like, well, does that mean what, like a spin-off? They'll show up in Pokemon Quest 2? I don't know if that's a game. Mm-hmm. Pokemon Quest, I can't remember.
And I think this is actually going to really do some detriment to some extent, the anime, because I feel as though the anime is not going to limit itself by the Galar decks. I highly doubt they're going to, because I've watched Sun and Moon, because Sun and Moon has a really good anime. It's like actually really good. Mm-hmm. And they don't limit themselves. Like there are Pokemon who are not native to, I think, the Alola region, who are in that shell. And it's like, that's super cool. Like, that's great. I don't see the Pokemon company being like, you can't use these Pokemon because they don't appear in the games, and we don't want people to be like, we don't want people making fun of us, which is going to happen because people are already making fun of you. But I mean, so I guess for me, I'm still super disappointed by this, and the hype is already dead for me, and that's really sad because like I love Pokemon games with like a almost blind passion, which is I know because I'll admit it, like I'm incredibly biased.
No, I love you.
Like I'm incredibly biased towards these games, but like now that bias cannot save this. Like you guys,
Blake is hurt.
I am.
Blake is hurt, guys.
So I think that's the best way I can summarize it. Is like now I'm disappointed even more. So we'll see. I don't know if there's going to be any more updates on this. I kind of doubt it. I feel like this is the end. So I feel like
there's not much else to say about it.
No, I don't think they're going to come out with a statement that says, "Oh well, I mean, we fixed Wingull. You know, we made Wingull flap now." Like, no, that's not gonna save you guys. So we'll see. I doubt. I think this is going to be our last update on this topic. Unless we decide, unless something major happens, then I think we'll devote like a full discussion to this. But I don't see that happening because I don't think they're going to say anything else about this. I think they've already dug their hole a little too deep. So I think those two topics are now complete. So I think it's time, John, that we move on to. Yes, you just heard paper. I use paper. That we move on to the new topics for this week. So, did you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. So let's talk about a topic that I kind of came across randomly. I was just kind of scrolling through my social media feeds, and I found a interesting article about a fight that took place between two Smash players at CEO 2019. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to give just a really brief summary of everything that happened.
I don't know about this, so you go ahead.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, CEO is a major fighting game tournament with a variety of video games. It used to be held in Orlando, but recently it got moved to Daytona Beach in Florida. So I'm going to summarize the event or what happened. So. The details are really cloudy because a lot of this is coming from tweets and a few onlookers. And in short, here is what I was able to piece together from articles and tweets and whatnot. So a Smash player by the name of Osiris197 had gotten drunk and apparently near the restroom slapped a gallon of water out of another player, Esam's hand. It's alleged that it's Esam because people think he is. We don't know.
Okay. Esam hasn't responded.
He said a few things on Twitter, but he hasn't
said it was him. Okay,
that's what I think, from what I understand. So Esam gets on Discord and asks somebody to come help. Another player by the name of Riot Lettuce came to defend him with another player, Black Twins. Side note: these players have ridiculous names.
Yeah, as they do.
So it's hard to take this story seriously, but. Some words got exchanged, and the two had a fist fight that didn't get solved very quickly due to a lack of security at the event. They eventually got separated, but at the end, Osiris spiked Riot's GameCube controller into the ground and then was escorted out of the place. So that's what I've been able to piece together. It's still, again, it's a little cloudy, and a lot of people coming forward and saying some stuff. So I'll give my thoughts first, just to
right.
kind of that way you don't have to jump in with
No, all right.
whatever. So one of my biggest peeves in life is probably is poor sportsmanship. There is, to me at least, nothing more frustrating than seeing players reacting so poorly to other players. It doesn't matter if it's in football or Street Fighter. It's just it's such a big deal to me. So, but I think I think that like we can chalk this up to like a lack of sportsmanship, kind of at least at its core. But I think it's a bigger issue to some degree, and it also comes from a lack of knowledge here. I think it's a bigger issue of how we treat fighting games and esports as a whole. For me, at least from my perspective, like first off, his drunkenness. Like, where did he get the alcohol? Like, were they serving it there? Or did he sneak it in? Like, either way, that's like nobody. Like, the fans can drink. That's cool, but like you don't see Kevin Durant, getting off the court and being like.
So you're saying they should hold themselves up to a standard?
Yeah, and
because they're being seen and viewed and put on the pedestal.
Exactly, and if a lot of, I just don't think it's like, I don't know if they were serving this or if he was holding it himself. I'm gonna take the jab and say that he snuck it in.
All right,
that's my assumption, or like someone was holding it for him or something. But like nonetheless, like that then leads to the lack of security. Like if you can bring in alcohol and like security's okay with it, like that's a huge lack of security. So like I think the kind of what I'm trying to like make this sort of directed towards is like how fighting games are perceived different from sports, because sports, it's like if you throw something at a player, you're out, like you're done, goodbye, like you're fined and whatever. If a player does something like that, they get fined hundreds of thousands of dollars and they get in trouble and whatever. They get, and if worse, they get ejected, which is bad for them. But like when it comes to fighting games and esports, it's really difficult because it's like these are just people playing games to so many people, you know what I mean? So like it's really weird, and it's a lot bigger than I think it's just two people fighting, And I know that and I did do some research on Osiris, and apparently he's kind of a big jerk. He's done this kind of a few times. He usually I read that I think he's done this on a couple of occasions of getting drunk at a tournament. And I think one time he shouted the N-word a lot, and like he's a white guy, so like that's not okay. And like and then someone asked him like, how do you feel about saying that? And he's all like, I don't care, it's a word. I don't care about anybody. And so he's kind of owned up to his mistakes, but like I think I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can just kind of say these things and be like, okay, well, it's my fault, my bad, and then just kind of walk away. So it's rough. It's a little strange, and I don't know. It's I think one of the. Well, I'll let you talk because I've talked for like 5 minutes. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, it's tough to say because I do agree with you, but also people are just dumb.
That's 100%.
It's hard to
we just talked about people
say what we should do about this kind of things. People are dumb. Yeah. They'll always be dumb. But esports is hard because it's always kind of an uphill battle just for how we want esports to be seen. Yeah. And how players should hold themselves. Because I remember like at Evo last year with Smash 4 and the Bayonetta. Yes. That was a big thing. Like
the Bayonetta stalling.
Yeah, is that the kind of behavior you should have like on those finals? Yeah, grand finals. And we're like, hopefully, because these companies are watching, and like these two people are just having fun. Is not the right word, but you'll probably have a better one. I don't know. I don't know what the word is. Like just messing around.
Oh yeah. They're
just messing around.
Goofing off.
Yeah, and to have esports be seen as some more than just people playing video games, you gotta try harder to not have that negative look. Yeah. You gotta try to hold yourself up to a standard. To try to push esports higher in the public image, so people don't just see it as this kind of story where it's just people playing video games, getting drunk, being mad at each other, just picking fights. Yeah, it's hard to say what we should do about that. Yeah. I know just in general with, when you have a fandom, it's hard to.
Yeah, no, it's hard to kind of like keep that sort of divide and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because like that brings up like, I know we said we never talk about sports on here in the last podcast, but like
True.
when you
you've kind of broken that rule.
Well, sorry about that.
I
But
guess,
I said esports. I said esports.
I don't know what to do about this. Go on.
But when you have something like a football game, there's sort of a huge divide between you being able to be, I don't know, like Brett Favre. Well, he's not playing anymore. I'm sorry. I don't know sports.
It's an example.
But like there's a huge difference between you being one of the players and you being one of the fans. If I went outside and just started training my butt off to be the next football player, it's impossible for me to get on the field with one of the players. It's just not going to happen. It's a very, very small chance. But when it comes to fighting games, depending on where we live, depending on how good we are, I could at some point have a fight with Zero.
That's true.
I just could.
Yeah.
It's just because of like pools and the way tournaments work. Like people interact with each other like that. And I think that like that's what makes fighting games so wonderfully accessible and attractive, because I love them to death. But I think it's stories like this that push people away. It's the kind of mindset that when you step away, it's like it's just a video game, but like.
I mean, especially Smash players specifically, they have some of the worst reputation online.
Yes, and I think and it's not just Melee, it's not just Smash Ultimate. It's like every Smash community out there, I think, has to some degree. And I think Smash community is so interesting because it's like you either play Smash Ultimate or you play Melee, and one of them is better than the other, and there's no middle ground. Whereas Street Fighter fans have been playing the same game for years, and people are like, oh, like 3's great, 4's fine, or 5's not that great, but like we still play it. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing is like people like they still play the games and they still love the games because the games are still so fundamental. But it's like there's such a massive divide between Melee and what was Smash 4 now kind of transferring into Ultimate. And we've seen some crossover now a lot with like Armada and Mewtwo King coming over and playing Ultimate a lot more now. But it's really weird because it's like, as a player and a viewer of like these kind of tournaments, like you want to get to that level, but you also don't want to come across the guy who's going to saltily throw his controller on the floor and not fist bump you. Like it's kind of intimidating. You don't want to really jump into that scene, and anything can happen on a local. Like that's a big tournament. That's a big fighting game tournament. But like when it comes to locals, kind of, I don't know what's the expression I'm trying to say, but like it's kind of like all's fair into some degree. Like you don't know what's going to happen on a local.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's hard to say with like the comparison to sports and how we hold those kind of players versus how we hold these players with these sports. I don't know what to say on that, but just people stop being weird.
Yeah.
Stop being rude to each other.
That's the core.
Be nice.
I think that's the core value.
Play nice.
Yes, I think that's the huge core that what we're trying to say is like it's just I don't know why people can't just respect each other to even the most minimal degrees of like, I mean, it's weird. It's super weird. It's just strange to see them like to see this around a game that's like primarily meant for like not kids but like just everybody. You know what I mean? Like this is an everybody game, and it's like it's kind of discouraging to have such a scene that's full of some people like this.
Yeah.
Not everybody's like this. Like I'm thankful that there's a lot of people that are great, but it's really, it's a difficult thing. But I don't know if any more details are going to come out. I've been looking for them, but it seems like this is kind of just like kind of fallen into the waters. So I don't know if we'll give an update on this, but if there is anything, then I'll bring it up in the next one. But as of now, I think that treat each other right. Yeah. Show some respect. No Johns.
What's that mean? I don't know.
Don't be salty.
Oh,
it basically means there was a player in I think Texas named John, and every single time he would lose, he would blame his controller or something.
Oh yeah, I never heard of that.
Yeah.
All right.
It's an old Smash term. I don't think anybody really even uses it now, but that's the thing is like just come on. Just don't make excuses and just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Just be cool, be chill.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a game, guys. Have some fun. So, but I think that's a period for that topic. So, hoping for the best for everybody involved. I hope that Osiris can get some help. I think they really think that would be great for him. I hope nobody's super injured, and I hope that Riot can get a new GameCube controller, because those are hard to come by, but that'd be cool. So, but yeah, that's the end of that topic. So, would you like to introduce yours?
Yeah, so the topic I want us to talk about is specifically Stadia, but mostly the bigger topic is streaming in general.
Okay.
So, Google came out with Google Stadia a few months ago, like a month or two ago. Can't remember. But they talked about how it'll be the new way to play games. Other companies have obviously tried this, but just with the power behind Google and all the money, people are thinking maybe this is the big step streaming needs to finally work. And, I don't remember on the top of my head, but Google Stadia released the prices on like how many megabits you need to get like 720, 4K and all that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of talk, a lot of doubts on whether it will work due to pricing, just convenience, I guess. But a big topic was about it's always going on about physical games, digital games. Yeah. What do you own? What do you not? What are you paying for? Mm-hmm. Which is interesting with this new update for Stadia. So Eurogamer talked to the Stadia chief Phil Harrison, because he revealed that, or I guess maybe just Stadia in general revealed that all games would be full priced. They would not be cheaper than like the console version. And so when Eurogamer asked him about this, he said, "I don't know why it would be cheaper." That is an exact quote from him. And
wait.
He's like, "I don't know why it would be cheaper."
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
direct quote.
Okay, keep going.
I don't know why it would be cheaper. And so then they asked, like, how does Stadia justify charging full price for a video game? And this is through the Eurogamer article. And he says, well, by making it available to play on any screen. To quote, "The value you get from the game on Stadia means you can play it on any screen in your life. TV, PC, laptop, tablet, phone. I think that is going to be valuable to players." It's like, and then in theory, the Stadia version of a game is going to be the highest possible quality of innovation and sophistication on the game engine side. So from pretty much what he's saying here is, because you can play it on any device, theoretically anywhere, that's the value you're getting from paying $60 for it. And with this update, people are now thinking more so that this is going to fail.
Well, yeah. So I guess I'll go back to when this was first kind of announced, because we didn't really talk about this. No. But like Google Stadia. So I have to admit, I did initially was like, oh, this is just another person trying to run with the big boys. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, to me, it was like lesser VR. Where it was like VR was kind of like, oh, it's gonna change the world. Everyone's gonna love VR, and like now it's kind of been like, okay, it's a here. Yeah, it's VR, But like this to me was like lesser VR. Like this was like, okay, it's just Google trying to say, hey, we can play video games too. We love Fortnite,
Yeah. And
whatever. And it's like so. But then I saw it and I was like, okay, that's not a selling point. Like, I don't know. To me, that's not really a selling point. It's like, oh, you can play it on any screen. Like, people generally don't. They play on maybe one or two. You know? Like, it's either PC, TV, or the Switch. Like, I just don't really think people are going to, you know what I mean? Like, pick your screen is kind of a portion of buying the game process. And now Stadia is like trying to remove that, pick your screen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when a hype game comes out and it's for multiple platforms, it's kind of like, you just want to pick your platform. What screen you're going to play it on isn't really necessarily an issue unless it's like the Switch, because then you're going to play it on small screen. But I just think like Stadia's whole the concept is cool, but like that doesn't really entice me because the screen wasn't the problem. I don't have a problem playing on a screen. Like I don't really play games on my phone, to be honest. Like I don't really play games on like my laptop unless they're like, emulators or whatever with games I already own. And it's like So for me, that's my perspective. What did you think about Stadia just going in prior to?
I thought it was interesting, kind of cool in concept, but for me, again, I think we kind of talked about this. Like kind of similar with when the Switch was coming out.
Yeah.
Playing a game anywhere, at least for me, and I know a lot of people have different thoughts. It's not a big thing I was worried about because if I'm going somewhere for a while, I'll just bring my PS4. Yeah. It's like a box and 2 cables and a controller. It's not that bad. If I'm going on a car ride, that's why we kind of talked about with the Switch. Yeah. I'll just play games on my phone, or I'll just bring my 3DS or the Switch.
Yeah.
So like on a car ride or something like that, Switch. But if I'm moving somewhere for like a week or so, just bring my PS4. The idea of portably playing a game is not anywhere. It's not a huge thing for me. And plus, okay, well that's my initial thoughts on Stadia. I kind of want to talk about like I guess streaming in general.
No, yeah, then hit me. Let's go.
Okay, so with Stadia, Xbox with Project Scarlet, and people seem. Well, I guess a lot of companies are looking at streaming as the next big jump for games, right? Because especially with Xbox, a lot of the talk is that they're looking more as the platform of Xbox and less on one singular box. Like, I think even with Scarlet, the idea is that through the box, you can stream it anywhere. I think that's the idea.
I mean, John, you gotta remember, we're looking at frame rates up to 120 frames.
Okay. But that's the idea. That you can play games anywhere.
Which I think is a sound idea, but I don't think it's necessarily something that people have been conflicting over.
I don't think...
Because you said it perfectly. This is exactly what I was thinking. The PS4 is 2 boxes, is a box and 2 cables, and like a controller, and that's it. The Switch is a little box and already a console, you know what I mean? And the 3DS is nothing. You know what I mean? Things like that. It's So I'm 100% with you, but
See, there's multiple things here. Because first, all the people talking about it, on the game websites and all that, lots of cool people on those websites, right? Yeah. And because they're the ones looking at this right now.
Yes.
And they're saying it looks really cool, and they're really excited, and they're also pushing this idea about streaming. However, those are the kind of people. Well, first, when they're being shown it, it looks cool. And those are also the kind of people, just in general, because, they fly all over, do different things with games. For them, I think they look at it that's really cool. Because, you go on a plane for business or something, I guess theoretically, you bring just a controller and the Stadia box, right? And you pay for it. You pay to stream it. But, again, we can't talk about everybody.
Yeah.
But for, the common person, like me and you, I'm not going to be thinking about bringing a controller everywhere.
Yeah.
So I can play a game on a plane or something like that. Or on a bus. Second, the pricing of everything. I don't know about pricing and all that. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Because we're not obviously playing it right now.
I think our general consensus on pricing is we don't want to pay $600 for something.
That's exactly
general consensus, I think, among you and me.
It's hard to say what a person who plays 10 hours on a game versus 60.
Yeah.
Streaming in a long term is a lot more expensive than just buying a box for $300-$400 in one go, and then you pay $60-$30 to play a game however long as you want.
Yeah. Forever.
Streaming, yeah.
As long as that console is still kicking.
Streaming, you want to play that game, you have to consider, okay, I'm paying $10 to play for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Long term, it's going to be a lot of money.
Yes.
So I think for a lot of people, in the beginning, they'll go, oh, well, that makes more sense to me, $150-$200 to get the Stadia. Yeah, it sounds cheap to me, but then as they play and all that, it's going to build up.
Yeah. Which fascinates me because I feel there's been such an influx of people who want a game to be long. They feel the more time I put into a game, the more value it has.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it's like, but that doesn't. Now that's literal. Like
Yeah.
the more time you put into it, the more money you've spent on that game.
Yeah, so like in my opinion, I think there's a weird dichotomy between the people who are testing out Stadia and saying, "Oh, this is the future. This is really cool." Between like people like us that are going, "I don't want to pay. I don't have a bunch of money to stream Battlefield."
Oh yeah, no. I'm 100% sensing that. Like again, it's kind of like the VR thing where people are like, "Oh, VR is going to kill PlayStation. It's going to kill everything," and it's like. VR is here, and it's still really expensive, and people still only use it for a few things. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like with the concept, I think that's what these kind of outlets are looking at.
Yeah.
Versus the execution and what people will be experiencing with it. Because again, first, pricing. Second, I don't think this has ever been a big deal for people. Mm-hmm. And you could think like, well, there's probably a lot of people that would. Maybe in the future, kind of like a Netflix thing, they could just stream a game, right? And just like right off the bat, super convenient. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a lot of people like that that want to do that. But I think that's more of I know the casual gaming audience is a huge market.
Yes.
But also, I think there's a lot of people that are thinking that doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah, well, I think it's so interesting that this is happening. You know, like streaming movies is very straightforward. Very, very, very straightforward. Because it's just, you know, you go on Netflix, you pay a monthly payment, you go on there, whatever they have, you get to watch it. You know, just click it, boom, it's done. This is video games though. This is stuff that relies on interactivity. You know what I mean? Like Netflix doesn't even talk about their numbers. Like, how does this correlate to a business in terms of sales? Like, okay, games are full price, but like if they don't pay for that game, they pay it. Like, it's weird because I remember them saying, kind of like we've been talking about, like, you pay hourly, like, however much you play the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, where does that go? Is that going to Google or is that going to the company? Like, who are we paying for? Like, do you buy the game and then you have to pay after that? Like, do you, like, I don't know, I want to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I don't. But I want to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Okay, and I have Google Stadia. Oh, great. Okay, so I pay $60 for, I guess, a digital copy of the game. And then I want to play on my phone because I'm going on a long trip, and I just decided to leave my Switch at home.
Yeah.
So I whip out my phone, and am I paying, like, I think what you kind of hit the nail on the head. What, like, I'm so confused by this. Like, this... Like, you know what I mean? Like, when the PS5 drops, I feel like it's going to be, like, a better version of the PS4, which is literally all I ever wanted.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to this, though, it's like, I am overwhelmed already by, like, what the heck this is doing. Like, I'm so confused. Like, because I heard, I don't know if this is true. Is it a box, or is it no box? Because I thought they were marketing it like, oh, there's no box. You don't even need a box.
No, I thought it was a little box, but now I'm not too sure.
Because I remember them being like, I remember that was a selling point, but like, call me crazy, but I like the box. Like, I like that thing over there.
I assume it's like an app or something, right? You click on, and it's probably that. Yeah. I probably misspoke.
See, that's the thing. Is like, I watched that presentation, and I'm still so confused as to what this is. Like,
I think I might have gotten it confused with Xbox, because that's like, this is a box you're paying for, and you can stream through it.
Yeah.
That's what they're advertising.
See, that makes sense, though, because it's like, but I highly, highly, highly doubt, unless they want to pull an Xbox One again, I highly doubt they're going to say anything about, like, oh, well, you know, we can't play hard copies anymore. Like, they're not going to do that. If Microsoft did that, they would be screwing themselves over like they did when they said that you need an online connection to play Xbox One. Do you remember this?
I do.
Remember a while ago when I remember this guy in the interview who was like, well, you know, we have a console for people who don't have an online connection. It's called Xbox 360. That was the worst, like, phrase I've ever heard someone say. And that's what I'm kind of getting from Stadia, where it's like like that comment right there is like, oh, you're still paying full price for the games. Yeah, you're just able to play it on whatever screen you want. Even if we give them the benefit of the doubt, and like later they say, okay, that was dumb, we'll do like half price or $20, right? I think full term you're still paying more, right? Because again, how do I play this game? I would really like it if someone walked me through how this works, because I'm so confused. So I assume this is what I need. Okay. I assume that I need to pay for Stadia
Yes.
as a service, just like Netflix. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's like a streaming service,
Yeah.
okay? Then I need a controller that's compatible with
I think
whatever device I'm using.
Yeah, a lot of controllers, I think.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm assuming it's like either maybe I can use my PlayStation controller, or maybe I have to buy a very specific controller. I don't know. I literally have no clue. I'm not sure. So I buy a controller, I buy this streaming service, and then I have to buy what I assume is like a good enough way of keeping that connection consistent, the Wi-Fi or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I need a game. I've already spent like what I can only assume is upwards in like the $500, $600 range.
And plus whatever internet rates you're paying to stream that game.
That's exactly it. On top of that. And it's like, okay, and what do I get for all of that trouble? I get no box, which, like doesn't show that I really own the thing. I can play it on whatever screen I want. I can play it on my phone. I mean, I just don't really, you can't see the face I'm making, but I'm making a very confused face.
He is.
And it's just so confusing where it's like, I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I don't see the value. I don't see, the value. I don't see, what am I supposed to be enticed by? The fact that I can play it on any screen?
I think, on one side, I'm thinking, not even with Stadia, just in the streaming in the future, whatever it will be, like Netflix. Let's just say Netflix with games, right?
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people look at that, go, that's really convenient. That sounds like a cool service, and I want to do that. On the other side, I'm thinking a lot of gamers will not be interested in that. Let's take convenience out. I think, look at the pricing of everything. Well, lower or middle income families want to spend, because streaming video versus streaming a game, that takes way more data to stream a game.
Yes.
Especially if it's a Battlefield in 4K.
Yes. Game that I had graphic intensive,
exactly.
World intensive, like Grand Theft Auto.
League is one thing, Grand Theft Auto or Battlefield is another. Yeah. It's like a convenience versus pricing, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even beyond then, I'm just thinking of prices of games now, specifically prices of games. And it's I'm looking at, I was just looking at the Switch yesterday at the eShop, just because I was curious. And there's some games that look pretty cool, and they're $2. Their indie games are fun. The PlayStation has great sales, and then from what I understand, Steam just destroys with their deals. You're getting games for $5 that generally cost $20 or something like that. That's great. That's good stuff, And it's I don't see them doing that because I just don't. It's all just so you're right. The concept of Netflix with video games sounds cool, but the first thing I think of, and this might just sound like a joke, but the first thing I think of is GameFly. That stupid mail-in service where you whatever, and it's I don't think it works. I just don't think it really works anymore. I feel like now video games are at a point where they're just so unbelievably accessible, whether it be on your laptop or on your freaking phone, on your whatever console you want. I feel like games are just at a point where it's just already so accessible that you can't sell me on accessibility anymore because you're not giving me anything I already don't possess.
Yeah, for the general audience of this, it's hard to pinpoint what they will think because I can see the convenience, people going, that sounds cool, but then long term, I don't think it works. But that's why I think there's a dichotomy between the people who are looking at this and saying it looks cool versus people like us, because also streaming games, what?
Yeah.
Most places around at the very least in the United States can't do streaming for games.
No.
A lot of people looking at that are first off, they live in places like San Francisco or nicer parts of LA or not even nicer parts, just LA, where sure they can do that, but in Oregon, Idaho.
That's exactly what I mean.
There's a lot of places that they don't have the internet, the connection to do that. A lot of people do the Google Fiber that costs a lot, and that's a great connection, and they can do that. But that's for those kind of people.
Yeah.
For like normal people like us, they're just paying through like Verizon or something.
Mm-hmm.
But also in like some other place that can't do it as well.
Yeah.
It's bad for a lot of people. They can't do it. Even if they want to, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are trying are like set up in ways that it will really work.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is like we keep talking about general audiences and how they'll react to this. And I keep imagining people being like, oh, this sounds great. But like you and me who are just like slightly more informed about this specific thing are like, I don't get it. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like I would say that we're more informed, but like I feel like a general person is gonna walk into like the Google Stadia store.
Will I have a good enough connection when I'm on the bus or like in the mall to play Doom on my phone? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
That's what I mean though. Like the Switch does not stream. You buy a copy of Doom, whether digital or physical, and you hop on the bus and you just play the game. You don't have to worry about interruptions or whatever, or crashing or whatever.
Remember when they said Resident Evil 7 was on Switch only cloud though, because that's the only way they could do it? It's only in Japan, because in Japan that would work more.
Yeah.
But like if they brought it here, people can't bring their Switch to like
No, I know.
grandma's house and play Resident Evil or at work, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like it's so like
it's
just crazy.
They kind of knew that. That's why they didn't bring Resident Evil 7 here on cloud.
Yeah.
Because they kind of knew it wouldn't work for a lot of people.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of people, like I don't know. I feel like there's a pretty significant. Maybe that's just me in my circles, but I feel like there's kind of a significant distrust of the idea of the cloud among people around me.
I mean, different discussion.
Different discussion.
No, I mean like related but different.
Yeah, no.
What
different.
do you own? You don't own it, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What are you paying for? You're paying for the license to play it.
Yeah.
You don't own it though.
And that's the weird part. It's like I just stated...
Like that's something I didn't even mention because like it's already messed up without that conversation.
So I don't know. I'm just really like I guess my opinion as of now is if I could summarize it into some straightforward comments, like I guess I'm just like really I'm not interested in buying it itself. I'm interested in like what becomes of it and how it affects things at large. Like, is it just gonna kind of flop and then Google will just be like, okay, well that was $1 billion. We still have like 85 billion more. Like, let's just whatever.
I know people are saying with this generation, or like at the very least, people are saying next generation. That's when we'll throw the boxes away and go with streaming. Like probably. I'm just like first. We've just talked about the way people want to play games is one thing, but just the option to do it, sure, maybe in like 10 years, it's hard to say like 10 years, but I doubt soon that we will have the internet everywhere to be able to stream games, to get rid of boxes.
Yes, I also kind of just...
We've had the box since games were a thing.
Games began in a box. They were big cabinet boxes.
And you could say, well, the internet wasn't at that point, but I think...
True. But
I think it's tougher to get rid of the box than people think it is.
Yes.
People think it's just, oh, this looks great streaming. It's tougher to execute it than you think.
But and on a personal level, I like the box. Like
It's convenient.
It's convenient. It's nice looking on a lot of consoles. Like I'm proud to have like my classic consoles like my N64.
Again, I don't think anyone was complaining that every few years we pay like $500 maximum for a new box.
And that's it. And then you're done. You know what I mean? And like that's it. Like once you buy that
there's
console,
no additional things added onto it that you have to worry about.
Unless online.
Yeah.
But that's like it. That's like, but like for PlayStation, I would argue it's worth it because of like the cool deals and like the ability to do.
But look at something like is it PlayStation Now where they say you can stream whatever games you want.
Yeah, you can stream. I don't have it.
And I don't have it either. Like, I think that sounds really cool. I could play because I have a lot of backwards compatible games.
Yeah.
Like that sounds really cool. But you know what? The reason I don't do it because I would have to pay so much if I had to stream those games, and then in terms of internet, I'm like, well, that's not worth it to me. I'll just play Dead Space 2 on the PS3.
Yeah. And I imagine a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I sold my PS3 to get the PS4. And it's like, okay, but you still have the PS4. Like, just save the PS4.
Yeah.
It's kind of those mindset of, like, you just, like, a general tip I've learned throughout my console life, don't get rid of your consoles. Don't do that. It sounds good and convenient.
It does.
But genuinely, I think you will regret it. I sold my GameCube, my original Xbox, and one other console, PlayStation 2, to get the PS3.
Yeah, I sold my PS2 to get the PS3.
Yeah, see, but like I don't know about you, but I kind of regret that because like I had a ton of games on the PS2 and I can't find them anywhere. They're not on the store anymore, and it's like and then the GameCube especially, like I sold like Melee, and now I have my cousin's copy because he doesn't play it anymore. It's like, to me, it's like even though the PS3 is a really cool system and I love it, I would go back in time and be like, don't do this. Just wait, and you don't have to worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like someday you'll have it and it'll be fine. But you know. So I don't know. That's my thing. Is like I also just don't think people want to get rid of the box. Like I think gamers like the idea of choosing between like you want Nintendo, you want Sony, you want Microsoft. Like what do you want? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like we have this like kind of set thing, and it's like people also don't like it when you force games on them. People want to choose what games they want at what prices. Do you want used? Do you want new? Do you want digital? Do you want physical? Like do you want the super duper physical bundle where you get all this cool stuff with it? Do you want the just plain old digital version? Do you want the DLC? You can't restrict freedom on gamers. Like you just don't do that because gaming is kind of all about freedom. Like you know what I mean? You get to play whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. You know, that's the beauty of it. I don't know. Stadia just feels like it's like, oh, but you're more free because you can pick your screen, and it's like, but people were already doing that. You know, like just hook your PC up to your TV, which I think you can do now because I think a lot of PCs have HDMI's, and so it's like you can play PC games on your big screen now, you know, with a controller. Thank you, Steam. Like all, you know what I mean? Like it's just like I don't know. My money is on that this will just kind of come and then kind of go. And
I think that's what a lot of people are thinking, or at least hoping will happen. Because, yeah, I don't see this working.
Yes.
I think, again, everybody has their own opinion about what they think, but I think, again, the dichotomy between the people looking at it, saying it's really cool, versus people like us, I think it's, in the end, I don't think it's something that, not necessarily interest, because the concept is really interesting, but I think something that's worth it to people.
Yeah. And I think that's something for them to kind of come up to. Like, I'm never gonna get over that comment. Why would it be lower price? Like, I don't know. I don't know why it would be cheaper. I just think that's so funny, where it's like you're getting so much less, but that's funny to me. But yeah, I guess conclusive thoughts is like. They're not worthy of our graces. Yet.
No, not a fan.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. Probably not.
No.
Never, but I don't know. Maybe someday. No, but I think that's it for that topic. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, that was really it.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna conclude it. I don't know if we'll have more to say about Stadia going forward.
I don't know.
Unless they say something completely baffling once again, like, oh, well, now you're gonna have to pay like $500 for your games.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
I don't know.
Which I would love to hear, just to make fun of it.
Depending on how it develops, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, do you know when that's slated to release?
I can't remember.
Here?
I think it's coming out soon.
Is that this what they've said?
I can't. No, I just can't remember. I think the date they put out was soon. I just can't remember.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit about its release and whatever. But like, I don't know. We'll see about that. But I think that's going to conclude it for this Hangout. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We can't wait to be back with another episode of this. And we will see you guys soon. So take care, everybody.
See you.